Subscribe for Reddit's controversial opinions. Women's sporting professionals need to shut up about earning less than their male counterparts until they start to draw the same size crowds. Recently heard an England women's cricket team player whinging about how she doesn't earn as much as the men's cricket team players. But men's cricket draws massive crowds and therefore major sponsorship deals, but she would not understand and blamed it on having a vagina. Well yeah, athletes make as much money as they draw in. Men's sports are more popular so they make more money. Women make up 50% of the population, they're all welcome to watch women's sports to increase viewership. Where I come from we just pay both genders should pay in sports, easier that way. Yes, it would make some organizations effectively operate at a loss. I agree with every other sports but soccer. The US women's soccer attracts more viewers, 22% higher, and also generates more revenue. Women's World Cup generated 1.9 million over men's, yet they get paid more than twice as less per player and game than US male soccer players. The U.S. women's soccer teams' games have generated more revenue. https://www.wsj.com/article/US women's soccer games out-earned men's games 11560765600 than the men's team over the past 3 years, according to a review by the Wall Street Journal. Fox Sports say the pool play game versus Chile had record viewership for a Women's World Cup group stage match. The team filed a complaint against U.S. Soccer in March that states, https://nyt.com/data/document-helper/653 women's soccer complaint/F9367608E2E108737F4/optimized/full PDF #page equals 1 female WNT players would earn a maximum of $99,000 or $4,950 per game, while similarly situated male MNT players would earn an average of $263,320 or $13,166 per game. Edit: I perfectly understand that the men's team makes more money because of their larger fan base, but let's take history into account. Men have been playing professionally since the early 1900s. Women weren't even allowed to be professional soccer players till the early 1980s. There is no doubt why men's teams have more of a fan base considering they have had 80 years more to develop it. In Australia we have a new football league where they get very low numbers. One game had 30 ppl, for a game that is free, and now they arguing they deserve the same pay as the men who play in front of 80 kppl. But equality. In horse riding competitions, from the very low levels to the highest levels, nobody gives a damn if the riders are female or male. The winner gets the dollar regardless of their gender. It's one of the few sports where women can compete against men on the same level, and the one person who gets all the attention, recognition, and fans is the horse. Smiley. This is a real unpopular opinion, but it shouldn't be. If looked at objectively, in terms of simple economics, whichever team or player that brings in more revenue should earn more. Simple as that. It's fought a lot in America over the women's soccer team. But if you look at the numbers, it's pretty clear. And there's other sports, like tennis with the Williams sisters or MMA with Ronda Rousey, where that simple rule is followed and those athletes make way more than the men. But men's cricket draws massive crowds and therefore major sponsorship deals, but she would not understand and blamed it on having a vagina. Sometimes it's a chicken and egg problem. Women's teams often are managed by the same organizations that run the men's teams, and sometimes aren't even allowed to become independent. Any sport with a strong international federation, such as FIFA, is this way. Then the women's teams are paid crap, their games aren't promoted or are stuck out of the way at little school fields, they are scheduled for weekday mornings, and the like. Of course a match on a Tuesday morning in a little school field has a small crowd, but why is that? Not for cricket, but still something I think is important. The FA banned women from playing football for 50 years. Men went off to war and women took on what were once considered the male jobs. They started playing football after they finished work and it because popular. When the men returned from war, the women were still drawing a bigger crowd. The FA then decided to ban women from playing on their grounds for 50 years. They say it was due to women's bodies being too frail, but I believe it was because the FA made no money from the women's games as they weren't associated. Could be wrong, but that's how I remember it. Men's football therefore became more popular. There is a whole documentary on it showing the inequality. Overall, women in the 1900s were told they were too fragile for the majority of sports and pushed back into what they considered more feminine roles in society. I agree that it is down to crowd sizes, but I also believe that women's sport has not had the same representation as men for a long time. Like people have said, women's matches are during the day when the majority of people are working. Is that their job, though? Their job is to play the sport as best as they can, and bring in results. It is the job of marketing/advertising departments to get the attention of consumers. UO posters just never understand what they are posting about. Women's sports aren't advertised. Ballpark, haha, percentages for ads you've seen about men's sports and ads you've seen about women's sports. People who are not explicitly into women's sports will see more ads for men. This has been the case since women were allowed to play sports. People believed women were inferior, women drew in smaller crowds, advertisers advertised men more, people kept believing men were better at sports than women, and so the cycle goes. There are plenty of women's teams, take soccer for example, that score better than their male counterparts from the same country. It's not about talent, it's about being advertised. Women can't draw in bigger crowds until advertisers start promoting women's sports. There's no difference in talent or work ethic among athletes, but there is a cycle keeping women out of the athletic spotlight that has to be broken before women's sports has a chance of drawing in crowds. Unfortunately for female athletes, advertisers are smart and ruthlessly penny pinching, and they have no reason to start advertising women's sports more often until they see an uptick in interest, which won't happen without proper advertising of equally skilled athletes. You can see where I'm going with this. The cycle of playing and advertising has always favored men and will always favor men unless advertisers have a reason to promote women and men equally. If I did just as well or better than men in my field but earned a tenth of their pay because men advertised men to other men, I'd complain about it too. Edit. Now I have a habit of saying controversial things, but I gave up scrolling halfway through the comments on this because I was either laughing at paper-thin arguments or glowering at comments saying exactly the women are too weak for sports shit people were peddling in 1920. If you're only interested in men's sports, even if the same women's sport with a team from the same place scores better, that's a you problem.